Hello and welcome to Eat the Treat. I'm Amaris Williams and I'm a PhD in nutrition, I'm a foodie, I'm a cook, and I do live cook-along cooking demonstrations every first and third Saturday, with the first Saturdays being diabetes-friendly recipes and the third Saturdays being hypertension-friendly recipes. Today is the third Saturday. We're doing a hypertension-friendly recipe. This is based on the DASH diet, and we are making jollof rice today. So I'm not Nigerian, but I definitely love Nigerian food, and I have no respect for borders. So um, let's just get started. The first thing we're going to do is chop an onion. And hello to everyone viewing. Um, so this is my onion here. And let me change this a little bit so you can see better. Okay, so this is my onion. This is the root end, the part where the root was in the ground, and this is the stem end, the part where the green part was growing off. I'm gonna cut the stem end off. And that's because the root end will hold the onion together so the layers don't come apart while I'm cutting it. The next thing is I want to cut it this way, so where like this is the root end right here, and I'm cutting it. I guess this would be perpendicular to the root end. So I'm just cutting it in thin slices without going all the way through, so it's still together. So I've still got one onion here, but you can see the slices. And now I'm going to turn my knife on its side so that it's parallel to the cutting board, and I'm just going to slice through, not all the way through, but most of the way through the onion. Now I'm ready to cut the onion like as if I were slicing it. So with my fingers curled under, I'm going like this. And now my onion is diced with very little work. And I don't have to worry about my layers all sliding all over the place while I'm cutting. And now that I've got half of my onion cut, I'm gonna turn my stove on to medium heat. I'm gonna put it on a 5 out of 10. And put some oil in there. About a tablespoon of olive oil. We'll add more later when we put the tomato paste and the curry powder in. And then I'm going to put my onion in there. Okay, and I'll show you again how to chop an onion on the other half of this onion. So first, I'm going to cut perpendicular to the root end, but not going all the way through the onion, just most of the way through the onion. Okay, now I've got one onion that's still together, but I've got slices of it, you can see. And then I'm going to turn my knife parallel to the cutting board and slice through a couple of times. This half is bigger than the other half. I didn't do a very good job of cutting it in half. I cut a little bit too far, so the layers are coming apart on me. But now, with my fingers curled under, I'm going to just slice the onion, and I'll get little cubes that come off, little diced cubes. All right, and that's an onion chopped. And I'm going to put this in the pan with the first half of the onion. Okay, the next thing we're going to chop up is the bell pepper. I've got a yellow one here, but you can use red or orange. the reason why in the recipe I said red, yellow, or orange bell pepper is not because they're more expensive and more fancy, or because they taste significantly different. It's because they look better in this dish because it's a yellowish orange rice. So as you can see, the bell pepper is kind of like a box with the seeds in the middle. So what I'm going to do is, what I've done at the first part is to cut off one side of the box. Then I'm going to turn it, cut off another side of the box, turn it, cut off another side of the box, and turn it and cut off the last side of the box. You can then cut off the bottom and keep the bottom in your dish, in your jollof rice, but I generally don't mess with the bottom. I usually just cut off the sides and then put the rest of it in the compost. So now we've got the sides of the box here, and we're just going to slice them one way and then cut them again the other way, because I think this dish is better with diced vegetables in it instead of sliced vegetables. And that's just personal preference. I'm going to give the onions a stir so they don't brown on the bottom. Okay. And then I'll cut this the other way. And we're going to put the whole bell pepper in. Okay, and I've got half of it cut, so I'm going to put that in with the onion to give myself a little bit more room on my cutting board. And then chop up the rest of this here. Okay. And now we've got onion and bell pepper in our pan, sauteing away. The next thing to chop up is garlic and whatever hot pepper you're using, if you're using a hot pepper. But if you use a hot pepper, it doesn't make it very spicy. It makes it a little, it has a little kick to it. Like, for example, I made this and I used one habanero, about this size habanero. And it had a little kick, but it wasn't spicy. I wouldn't have called it spicy. But if you don't like any spice at all, then I wouldn't add the hot pepper. This one looks like a, actually I'm not sure what this is. This is a, I guess it's a, oh, it's a Fresno pepper. But I have this hot pepper mix, and it has different peppers in it. So if you're using these Thai chili peppers, I would use a couple of them. These are quite large Thai chili peppers. Maybe only 2 of these, but if you have smaller Thai chili peppers, use 3. And if you want it really spicy, use more than that. I'm going to use this habanero because I know it's good with habanero. And for habanero, I'm going to leave the seeds in. I'm just going to cut the stem off and then very thinly slice the habanero. And habanero is one of those peppers that'll make your fingertips sting. So wash your hands after handling it if you're worried about that. And if you wear contacts, I'm sorry, but it's gonna be uncomfortable when you put them in or take them out. So another thing that you can do to avoid that is to wear gloves. The gloves I have, I got from Harbor Freight, and I don't really trust them with my food. So I'm not gonna wear gloves today, and it's not really that necessary. So I've got my habanero sliced. Now I'm going to run my knife through it like this. So what I'm doing is the knife has a curved edge, and I'm just rocking the knife along its curved edge through the habanero on the cutting board, obviously. And that will give me a very fine mince of the habanero, because I sliced it finely, and now I'm running my knife through it, and it's going to give me very small habanero pieces. And that's what we want. And so once you've got your habanero minced, put it in the pot with the onion and the bell pepper. Give it a stir. Okay, and the last thing that we're going to chop up today, I promise, is the garlic. I've got my garlic here already peeled. And we're going to do the same thing that we did to the habanero to the garlic. Slice it thinly, and then run your knife through it. So, as thin as possible. On the recipe, it said 6 cloves of garlic. You can count them if you want, but I like garlic, so I just put garlic in stuff. And it turns out to be a lot of garlic, but I like it that way. So garlic is another thing, like hot peppers, it's to your own taste. All right. I'm running my knife through the garlic. Getting some small pieces of garlic here. And, you know, jollof rice is West African, and a lot of West African countries and cultures have their own version of jollof rice. Usually it involves fresh tomatoes, and you cook down the fresh tomatoes, and then with the curry powder and the bay leaves, and it just takes a lot of time. This is a simplified version of jollof rice. We're using canned tomatoes, which have already been cooked in the canning process. So it shortens our cooking time a lot and makes it easy and cheap to make this. Another benefit of using canned tomatoes and canned beans is you can keep these ingredients on hand, and you can make this anytime. So I always have onion. I almost always have bell peppers. I always have at least one hot pepper in my fridge. Garlic is something I keep on hand. And then rice and everything else that goes in this dish, you keep in your pantry. So this is a very easy, I don't know what to make today type of thing, you know? All right. So that's it for the chopping. Let's move on to opening cans. Excuse me. So, the first can we're going to open is that of tomato paste. And we need a 1/4 cup of tomato paste, so that's about half of this 6-ounce can. we only need about 3 ounces of tomato paste. And once we put the tomato paste in there, we've got to keep stirring so that it doesn't burn. Like, it's fine to get a little brown on your onion and your bell pepper and your habanero, but you don't want your tomato paste to burn, because then you'll taste it. The other thing we're going to put in at the same time as the tomato paste is the curry powder. So I'm going to get that measured out here as well. And you can see the color of this curry powder. It's kind of mustardy colored, and it's not bright yellow. So that's what I meant when I said good curry powder. Good curry powder is not just turmeric and salt. Good curry powder has fenugreek and cumin and, you know, all these other spices in it that give you that curry flavor instead of just a yellow color. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I meant when I said good curry paste on the recipe. And if you can find it, I can't find it here in Ohio, but if you can find it, an African or a Jamaican or Caribbean curry powder would be ideal, because this is a black dish. So I've got 1/4 cup of tomato paste and 1 tablespoon of curry powder in the pot. I'm going to add a little bit more oil to help things along, and then I'm going to give it a stir. And I'm going to keep stirring it for about a minute, maybe even up to 2 minutes. We want the curry paste to cook a little bit, but we don't, the curry paste and the tomato paste to cook a little bit, but we don't want them to burn. So thus the stirring. Okay. And I've got a nice burnt plaque on the bottom of my pan here. That's gonna come off and be flavor in my rice when I add the vegetable stock, which is the next ingredient. So I'm gonna turn this off momentarily. So I've got this low sodium vegetable broth, and I want 3 cups of it to put in my pot. Okay, that's 3 cups. So 3 cups of vegetable broth in the pot. I'll turn it back on now so that I just turned it off momentarily so I didn't burn my tomato paste. Let me just make sure that I'm doing everything correctly over here. Okay, next is a pinch of salt. Normally I like to salt things at the end of cooking, but I find with grains like rice and farro, or any grain that you're using, you need to add a little bit of salt at the beginning, because if you wait to the end to add salt when cooking grains, you will end up using more salt than if you just had added it at the beginning when it was cooking. The next thing to go in is this is long grain brown rice. Just nothing fancy, not jasmine, not basmati, just cheap long grain brown rice. And I'm going to put 1.5 cups in. Enough. Yeah, okay. All right, rice is in the pot. The next ingredient to add is our crushed tomatoes. This is a 15-ounce can, regular size can, not the big 28-ounce can, just a 15-ounce can. And no need to drain it or anything like that. Just dump the whole can in there. I made a mess here. All right. Okay. And finally, the beans. Now, jollof rice doesn't normally have beans in it, but I'm putting beans in mine because beans plus a grain, so a bean is a legume, rice is a grain. Grain plus legume means complete protein. So we don't need meat with this dish because we've got rice and beans together. And that's why in a lot of cultures, even, before we had the science of complete proteins, rice and beans have historically been eaten together. And that's because somehow humans figured out that they feel better when they eat their rice and their beans together. And they get disease less often and things of that nature. So rice and beans are a healthy historical way to eat your legumes and your grains. I'm going to drain my can of beans. I don't want to put the whole thing in there. So I'm draining it. And then I'm going to rinse the beans by just putting some fresh water in the can and shaking it and then draining that out again. So nothing fancy here. So if you have a sink at home, you don't need a colander or anything. Just get some fresh water, pour it in your can, shake it around a little bit, and drain it out. Once you've got your drained and rinsed beans, put them in the pot. Right. And the jollof rice is pretty much done. We just have to cook it now, of course. So what we're going to do is bring it to a simmer and cover it. And then cook it until the liquid absorbs into the rice. And then the other thing to serve with this is a salad. Now, if you've noticed, this last recipe that I did the first Saturday of this month, the Brussels sprouts and paneer, that was a meatless dish. This rice and beans with salad is also a meatless dish. So we just did a meatless march, except for this salad. I'm eating this salad. I really like this salad. They don't pay me to say that. I just like it. And it's got bacon on it. But It's in small portions. The bacon and the salad dressing and everything in here that is full of calories can still be part of a healthy diet. So you don't have to cut out the foods that you like to have a healthy diet. So my pot is simmering now, so I'm going to turn it down to about a 4 out of 10. And then whatever salad kit you chose, probably okay. Just pay attention to the serving sizes, because the if you have a tendency to eat the whole bowl of salad, that's good as far as fiber is concerned, but the oh, thank you for catching that I didn't put the bay leaves in. Yes, the bay leaves go in now with the stock and the beans and the rice and everything. So I'm sorry about that. Forgot about the bay leaves. So get you 3 bay leaves. My bay leaves are in little chunks, so I'm just gonna put several little chunks in, and then toss it in with your toss it in the pot. Thank you for recognizing that I forgot an ingredient. Of course, bay leaves, for anybody who doesn't know, you don't eat them. They just add flavor, and then when your dish is ready, you pull them out. So once the rice is cooked, pull the bay leaves out of the pot, and then eat the rice and beans. All right. So now, with diabetes, you want to have half of your plate fruits and vegetables, and a quarter of your plate protein, which could be the beans, and a quarter of your plate whole grains, starch, which would be the brown rice that we use. So this plate would look like half rice and beans and then half salad. However, if you don't have diabetes, that's not necessarily how you have to fix your plate, but it is a healthy way to fix your plate whether you have diabetes or not. Okay. So, that's all I had to say about the plating of the food. So half your plate salad, half your plate rice and beans. This pot of rice and beans will last you for probably a week. It actually makes a lot, so. And that's ready to go. So as soon as the rice is done, we've got a meal that's ready to eat, and it only took us 29 minutes. So let's do a quick outro. Hello everyone. Thank you for cooking with me. I hope you enjoy this simplified jollof rice that is not Nigerian, because I made it and I'm not Nigerian, but it's Nigerian inspired. So hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining. Bye.